I've been harassing James Arnold Taylor all morning, saying, "You were like a brother to me, Anakin. It's over, Anakin. I've got the higher ground. I loved you like a brother, Anakin." Shut up. It's my imitation of that scene. That's how it should have been. It's over, Anakin. Oh, God, is it hot. It's over, Anakin. I've got the... You know what? I'm just going to kill you and assume you're dead. I'll leave you just alive a little bit. And then I'm going to go see Padme. It's over! Never mind. It's so hot.
For those who don't recognize him, Richard Horvitz, thank you for joining us here today.
You're welcome.
I have some serious questions. My name is Dan Benjamin, by the way.
Yes, Dan, I just spoke to you.
We just met in the hall, and I warned you that these are some hard-hitting questions. I want you to get ready for them.
I like that because I know that any time I can just say, "Shut your noise tube!"
Well, let's start at the very beginning.
Well...
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum. Hand modeling.
Oh, these are hard.
How did you get your start in show business?
It's an interesting story that I went, but this is neither the place nor time to tell it. I once went to a roast of a friend of mine, a celebrity guy, and they were roasting and giving him an honor. And Norm Macdonald, you guys know Norm Macdonald? We were in the hallway talking, and he's like, all right, I'm the first one that has to speak. So he goes up in front of this whole audience, honoring friend, and goes, "There are so many nice things that you could say about this guy, but this is neither the place nor time for that." That was the joke. Okay, so I always wanted to be an actor. Ever since I was 5, I knew it. I loved the Flip Wilson show, and I loved Get Smart, and in fact, Angry Beavers is kind of my homage to Lou Costello and Don Adams. There's a lot of Don Adams Get Smart delivery in that show. And so my mom and dad didn't really want to pursue that, even though we lived in Los Angeles. It's like, we were just, valley people, and we were people of the valley. And it just never happened. And then we attended this church where they were doing this play called Happy Birthday Jesus. And I was asked to sing this song. It was like, "There's a hole in my little doggy stocking, the one and only doggy I adore." And the writer of this musical was a man named Floyd Huddleston. I don't know if you guys have, in any of your convention journeys, come across a friend of mine named Houston Huddleston. He's the one that's doing the building of the Deep Space Nine, like he's trying to do the sci-fi museum and the horror museum. Right. So his dad was the one who had written all the music for the Aristocats. And so he had a agent and said, "Hey, I'd love to introduce you to my agent." I was like, 10 years old. I signed with her and I started doing a lot of theater. I started musical theater. I did a play called Oliver at the Aquarius Theater in Hollywood, and it starred a bunch of old-time, really big actors like Stubby Kaye and Dick Shawn, and then it was starred Nancy, Shani Wallace, who played Nancy in the 1968 musical. So from there, I started reading for commercials, and the first thing we do is I would go out for toy commercials, and they would say, "Well, you're not right for the commercial, but can we see your hands?" Perfect. You will be the hands when we do the close-up of the kids playing with the toys.
You were really a hand model.
And I was like this. Get on the set and I go, "Okay, so we really want you, it's really kind of delicate." Like, but listen, I love those commercials for the infomercials where, "Have you ever had this? You can't iron your shirt." And the person's like, like over-exaggerate. It's like, "Has this ever happened to you while brushing your hair?" It's like, what's wrong with these people? So that's how I got into hand modeling.
And so that was your, that was your start in show business in Hollywood.
Hand modeling and then commercials. I did Freshen Up Bubblegum, where it was a commercial campaign. They used to go, there's liquid inside this gum. And my very first commercial of that campaign was, we were on a baseball team. I'll never forget this. And we were on a baseball team, and we all, the end shot was, we all had to blow these huge Freshen Up Bubblegum bubbles. And we're all in there, and this is like 1975, maybe, 1974. And there was a kid in front of me on the baseball team in the front row, and he had an afro that was like out to here. It was like a really big afro. And we all had to blow these bubbles. And mine popped, and it popped in his hair.
Oh, no.
And so they had to take like an hour to get the gum out of his hair. That was my entrance into gum.
So you actually started in, I think most people probably know Invader Zim.
Hey!
You've done a heck of a lot more than that, but that's where I think most people, and I talked to some of the people here before we started, and I would say, what are you most excited about? They'd say Invader Zim, Invader Zim. And there were some people
What's that?
when we were out front, and people actually were walking up saying, "Is this Invader Zim in here? Is Invader Zim going to be?"
No! It's the Brad Pitt panel.
So, you become associated with these characters, and you become known for being these characters, and you embody them in a lot of ways. What is that like from the beginning when, I guess, do you see a picture of the character and start to create the voice and evolve them? How does that work, the whole process?
I don't know. I guess what happens is I'm a lot like a lot of my characters, so a lot of my own personality goes into my work, except for hand modeling. I think the character that's the most like me is Daggett from the Angry Beavers. I think he's closest to my personality. There's this one scene in the episode called My Bunny Guard, where we're being stalked by someone, and so this rabbit shows up to protect us. And the thing I loved about Daggett was that Daggett's character changed throughout the show. One minute he was talking like whoever was on the show, and for a while it was Bob Hope. Hey, isn't that wild? But the line that's most like me, and the reason I love it so much, is because this bodyguard, the bunny, when we find out it's him that set this whole thing up because he had no friends, he says, "Oh, you're just saying that you'll be my friend because you felt bad for me because I did blah, blah, blah." And Daggett goes, "Yeah, so." That's me in a nutshell, yeah, so. But how I create these characters, I read the story first, the script that I'm sent, and I don't read any breakdown about it, because if I read the breakdown first, then I'm trying to, my want becomes pleasing the people that wrote it and created it. I'm trying to act the breakdown, I say. But it's not about acting the breakdown. It's about reading your story, creating a make-believe playground in which you can exist in. And then once I do that, it's all about the story. I have a reason for everything I say. So I have a saying that I even teach. It's when you know why you say what you say, then you're informed and it allows you to play. And that's the way I approach my work, is from like a playground aspect. It's also why you say something is more important than how you say something, because most people just memorize their lines and they can say it by rote with conviction, but there's nothing behind it because they don't know why they're saying it. I'll give you a perfect example. This is how I always demonstrate this. Has anybody in this room ever been late on a bill? Anywhere? Anywhere? Good. Have you ever been so late that the phone rings and it says collections? Don't be embarrassed. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Within that second that you see it, your mind does this. Crap, I'm late on this bill. They're going to raise my interest rate. They're going to ruin my credit. I'm never going to get a loan. I'm never going to get a house. I'll never be able to get a loan. I won't be able to rent a place. All these things go through your mind before you pick up that phone. And it happens within less than a second. So that by the time you answer that phone, you usually answer it one of two ways. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm late. Yeah, I lost my job. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can pay it by Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, thanks. Or, hello? Yeah, I know, I lost my job. Yeah, I don't know if I can pay it by Friday, but I'll do my best. Okay, thank you. Same lines, two totally different characters. It all depends on what you choose to believe with the thoughts you put into your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We always do that. In our primary realities, we call it spiraling. And so so the way we talk to people is based on what we've already assumed about something, a situation. It's the same way I approach my work. I read the story, and if something resonates for me, I really focus on that. Then I go back, I'll look at the picture, I'll look at the breakdown to see if there's anything that I find important to know. Age is an important one. If it says you're between 20 and 50, that means nothing. But if it says you're 3, that means something. If it says you're 100, that means something. If it says you're from a foreign country, you have an accent, so all of us break down our stories first. We have a reason to talk, then we can play, and then they say, hey, what would happen if you were from the West? What would happen if you were, from New Jersey or whatever? That's how we do it.
Well, you mentioned working with other people and doing different reads. Are you, we always see these pictures of people in a recording room, in a studio, doing the voice recording for the movie or for the TV show. Are you in there alone? Is there a producer? Are there the full cast all sitting around the table? How does that work?
So in the best case scenario, like in our days at Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, we were all together in what's called a radio record. So we're all standing or sitting at microphones around the room. We have scripts in front of us, and we do it like we're doing a play. And we'll do page 1 through 3 or line 1 through 30. And then after we do that pass, they'll say, oh, let's pick up line 6 through 8, and then we'll do that, and we'll move on through the script. And that's when everybody's there. That's my preferred way of playing, because I like to play with people.
Right.
But because there's so many outlets for animation now, and so many of us working on other shows at the same time, it's often impossible to coordinate our schedules. So then sometimes it's just you with the producers and the writers and the booth director, and those are fun too. I'm doing a show right now called Skylanders Academy, and it's going to be out probably in October. I'm not sure of the outlet yet, but because Norm Macdonald's on the show and a lot of celebrities are on the show, we can't all be together at the same time. So we know that we can get me in there from 1 to 3 and everybody else the other hours.
Right.
Those kind of bum me out because you don't ever really work with the people then.
Right. I've heard that in some cases, some cartoons especially, and animated films as well, they'll have these people independently, and so they'll say, what was it like working with this person? I'll say, well, I have no idea, right? I mean, does that happen a lot still, or is that the trend, the way things are going?
It just depends. I think it happens now more often than it used to when I first started back in 1803.
Right.
I was in Vegas recently, and I've grown this beard for the last 3 years or something. And at several points of my beard growth years, it was out to here, it was here, it was out here. So my wife and I are in Las Vegas, and we go to see, we wanted to go see a show that night. And we had seen all the Cirque du Soleils and all those things, but I like old Vegas, so I wanted to go see a fun show. So there was this thing called Zombie Burlesque, and it was at the Hard Rock or something. And it was really fun. It was all zombies, and they did sketches. It was very fun. And they give you Jello shots when you go in. Yeah. So we're sitting in the audience. And it's a nice-sized theater, and the zombies are performing, and it's funny, they're wacky, and body parts are falling off as they're doing comedy and all that stuff. And then they get to this part where they're doing a newlywed game, a parody. And all of a sudden the music starts playing, and it's I'm that's the Angry Beavers theme song. And so there was this audience participation thing where they ask a question like you're one of the members on stage. And they shine the spotlight. And it just so happens they land on me. They didn't know that I was
really?
And they look at me and they say, how about you, old Civil War veteran guy?
But they didn't know who you were. just pure coincidence. Do you get recognized a lot?
It's
Do
weird. You
people
never
who you
know
are?
when that's going to happen because flying out here, I came in what day is it today? It's Sunday. I came in Friday morning. So I had to be at LAX at 4 o'clock in the morning for my flight.
Lord.
So and I'm sitting there. There's like no one at this gate. I've got my feet up on my travel case and I'm sleeping this and I feel. Mr. Horvitz? I'm like, yes. And he goes, oh my God, I've been following you. I'm like, what? He's like, no, I saw you come in, so can I take a picture? I'm like, yeah, take a picture. And then he walked away, and I was convinced that someone was setting me up for a murder. Because, all right, I located him. Here he is. This is the guy. Killed him. Because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not talking. I'm just sitting there with my Civil War beard.
Do people, I mean, when they hear you speaking, do you find people will hear you because you have such a recognizable voice, and like you said, you put so much of it into your characters that it's unmistakably you?
Yes, I do.
Have you ever been like at a restaurant?
Yeah, all the time.
Recognize
Yes, the waiters and waitresses always recognize me just as they hand me the bill. Because they know, oh, we know who you are, so you better tip nicely. My wife noticed that first. She was
Really?
they always like recognize you after they bring you the bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in lots of places. There's a movie I did back in the 80s called Summer School.
Yeah.
For most people, thank you. Most people, this convention in particular, a lot of people have remembered Summer School.
Really?
Yeah. Including my friend, where is she? There she is. Everyone say hi to Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Liz has been working with me this weekend and she goes, I don't know any of these voices you do, but I love Summer School. Right, Liz?
Yes.
See? Yes, she says proudly. I don't know your work, but I know that. I don't know why they forced me to sit with you.
Horrible thing.
It's horrible. Horrible! That horrible bee.
What's your favorite thing about being a voice actor compared to live action?
Oh, well. You know, I started out in live action, and a lot of us in voiceover started out in live action or in bands. That's a lot of us you'll find if you ask any of us, we're all theater or television film actors.
Right.
Or we were singers, like Rob Paulson had bands, and Billy West had bands,
Right.
and Tom Kenny sings with a band still. What was happening to me quite regularly is, like I had a real, like from the time I was 10 to like my mid-20s, maybe early 30s, I was working all the time in television and film. But at some... I was sleeping this morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, a train went by. And it went by for 18 minutes. I watched the clock. 18 minutes.
Yeah, they do that.
What was your question?
Live action
Yeah, so
versus...
I was getting this a lot in live action. Live action, they were going, he doesn't look like he sounds. He looks like he should sound like an old Civil War veteran. So it always comes down to me and someone else. And I wasn't booking the jobs.
Right.
And so I was getting really down, so I went and learned to talk like this, like Billy's dad. Really like Billy's dad was me talking like this, but it wasn't me. It was inauthentic, and it really bothered me because I didn't want to pretend to be something that I wasn't.
Right.
And at the time, I looked at my voice as a hindrance, as opposed to an asset. And then I remember a friend of mine back in like 87 or so said, hey, you should do voiceover, and I knew nothing about voiceover. When I grew up, there was like, 3 cartoon, shows that you watch. You watch the Flintstones, you watched, Scooby-Doo, and for me, Speed Racer was my all-time favorite show. Right? Here comes Speed Racer, he's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after someone. Take it! He's getting on you, so you better look alive. Also the monkeys, I love the monkeys. They get smart, but that's not animation. Anyway, right?
The monkey.
Monkeys, 50th anniversary. Me and the Monkeys are both the 50th anniversary. And they have a new album out this summer. It's called Good Times. It's so good. The lead singer for Death Cab for Cutie and Weezer, they both wrote songs for them. It's awesome. Anyway, you're welcome, guys. they said I got into voiceover. The first thing I did was I did commercials, radio commercials. And literally my first voiceover job was, bye dad. That's what I said, bye dad. And I got paid as much as the guy, and I'd say, now we're participating local dealers, you can get your Chevy citation, blah, 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 blah. And I go, cool, I'll do that. So to answer your question, what I love about on camera, I mean voiceover versus on camera, is that voiceover, you get to play in this world, and you don't have to worry about what you look like, how you move, or what you're wearing, or any of that stuff. You're just free to play. And that feels good to me. And the other difference is that I can make as much in one 2-hour session that I would make sitting on a set for 12 and a half hours waiting to go do one line or something.
Right.
And these days, when I was a kid, there were only 3 networks, so when I got to get on camera, you were known pretty quickly. Now there's so many outlets, and everybody has a reality show and everything, so you don't make the money you used to make then, and don't get the kind of success that way. And personally, I just like to play. That's really what it is.
It seems like today, especially with all of the outlets that make amazing content right now, whether it's, we mentioned when we were growing up, there's 3 networks and that was it. Now you've got so many networks, there's so many streaming networks as well that are creating brand new content. And bringing
That's cool that they're bringing the content. It's kind of difficult to make your living on those contents now, because
that's what I was going to ask.
There's no residual structure that's like the other ones, and when we're not working, that's what we live on, is the residuals.
Residuals. That's what I was going to ask. Like, how is it to make a living doing voice work? 'Cause I'm sure there's people listening who want to get into it, or who.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic living if you can get on those shows that really hit. And if you can do a bunch of them, because that's the thing. That it was really tough for me, because when I was doing Invader Zim, I was doing Billy and Mandy at the same time. And so I would, the very first time we were doing it, I would do Zim in the morning, drink 6 of these in the booth, I'd go do Billy and Mandy in the afternoon at Cartoon Network. Bless you. And I said, bless you! Thank you. And then they started thinking I was smoking, because my voice was so hoarse. Yeah, my voice is worse for this weekend, because we did the panel yesterday, which was fun, and then it's really, we talk above the crowd. Talk about the din of the crowd in the convention hall, and it's hard. And I'm already loud as it is.
Is there something special that you need to do to keep your voice in top shape when you're recording? Is it
not talk so much. That's my problem. I drink a lot of water, and I don't drink tea and honey. I drink just hot water and lemon is the best thing I've ever used on my voice.
So you mentioned that Daggett is kind of the most you. Do you have a favorite character to do, or some work you're just super proud of?
This is a question I get asked a lot. Is like, what's your favorite character?
Yeah.
So I'm the most proud of. It's hard, because it's like choosing your favorite child, because so much of it comes out of you when you're playing. I know that some jobs were harder than others, but the final product was amazing. Angry Beavers has a special place in my heart, because it was my first full-time domestic series, and it really was a lot of fun to work on, and I got to work with a lot of amazing people. I've been fortunate in all the shows I've ever worked on, be it Billy and Mandy or Zim or Angry Beavers or Dr. Chipotle and LT or any of these. Yes, Chipotle! All the creators that I work with know that I'm like an improv guy, that like my head goes like 1.5 million miles an hour, so they let me go off. One of my favorite stories is on Billy and Mandy for that very reason. We were doing the Big Boogie Adventure, and it was like, scare you, I'm scared you, I'm not scared my head to do when we were scared. I was looking at the script, I was like, oh my god, there's going to be this scene where I get to sing that song, and then it has this like really great break that it's supposed to be like this, like 80s hairband singer singing, right? So I'm disappointed to find out that I'm not going to get to do it. And so I said to Maxwell Adams, I said, look, I wanted to do that. And he said, well, if we have time before lunch, I'll let you do a take. Because they've hired a singer. And so we're doing the record, now we're going into lunch, and we're going to break for lunch. He said, you said if we didn't break, he said, all right, fine, do it. So it gets to the break in the song, and I just go off, and I just go, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm just really, really hungry. I want a sandwich. It's lunchtime. And that's what they ended up using in the show. Because that is Billy. That's Billy. Like the worst thing to be happening, and it made sense. And if I can justify in the character why I would say anything, and Billy was like a blank canvas, because he would say the most ridiculous things, like, I'm gonna scratch my brain through my nose. You know?
How much of that comes from you versus scripted? How much improv are you doing when you're in the booth?
I do a lot of improvising on Billy and Mandy and a lot on Angry Beavers because Nick Mackay was a comedian also, and so we would just play off each other really well. In fact, if you remember Angry Beavers, we used to talk over each other's lines, and we were the first show that they allowed that to happen, because that's called bleeding over the mic. But they used to keep us on separate tracks. In Invader Zim, they kept me in a totally different booth because I yelled so much. So that was the first one. And the reason was because Mitch Shower said brothers talk over each other all the time. So that's what we focused on, was the brotherly relationship. So a lot of improvising goes on. Invader Zim, not as much as the other ones, because Jonan had no real idea of what he wanted, but even Jonan will tell you that. It's a funny story about Invader Zim was that I was doing the Angry Beavers, and Jonan wanted me to do Invader Zim. But the network said, well, he's already doing Angry Beavers, and we don't want to cross those lines at the same time, so no, and so they hired Billy West. Mm-hmm. So then Angry Beavers ended at the same time they had just finished the pilot for Invader Zim. So Joni came back to me and said, hey, would you come in and dub a little bit over Billy so we can give this a shot again? Because we want to do a little something with your voice. We want to affect it a little bit so it doesn't sound like Dag at all. Okay. So I went in and I personally thought I was more right at the time for Dib. Because that's more of the lines of the characters I did. And it's my imitation of Dib. Have any Dib fans out there? Big monster-headed Dib. This is my imitation of Andy Berman doing Dib. Not this time, Zim! So, Jonan said, no, I want you to do Zim. I said, okay, so I dubbed over Billy's stuff. And so they go, great. They process it, send it off to New York. New York said, yep, you can be Zim. And so to this day, people think that Billy did the pilot to Zim. And Billy and I are like best friends. We're really close friends. So this happens all the time to us. I was doing Squirrel Boy, and then Rob Paulson replaced me, and then they hired me back to replace Rob Paulson. So it happens all the time. But the thing is, if you listen to the pilot, 78% of it, literally, is me. I will start a line sometimes, and Billy West will finish it.
Oh, wow.
Or Billy will start a line, and I'll finish it. So they always say, they never before aired pilot of Invader Zim starring Billy West and Richard Horvitz. But at the time, I only ADR'd it, so it wasn't a full credit, other than, additional voices by it. But that's the
Family, what do your kids think of your line of work and what you do?
I think they're really happy. I think they're proud. I think that in the family dynamic, it is never really a thing. It's like we don't talk about it, but I know that their friends are fans. Or like the other day, my son came home from his first year at college, and I'm always curious to know, because that's his generation of Zim fans.
Right.
Well, except now we're 2 generations in, because everyone that watched are now having kids.
Right, my kids are watching.
Yeah,
now.
exactly, which is really flattering. But I never know whether his friends know who I am, and I don't ever say, hey, your friends know who I am. You know who I think I am? But the other day, we were at the house. It was, hey, Dad, my friend's like doing this voiceover thing. Will you listen to this and see what he asked me to ask you what you thought? And so I know he talks about it. I know they talk about it.
Yeah.
I think they're proud. But sometimes I think in the early years it was a little tough, because it was kind of like, oh, your dad's so-and-so, your dad does this, blah, blah, blah. And my son would be like, yeah, he does, let's go play. And I would say, shut up, Jake, they're talking about your father. Let them. Let your friends bow down before me.
Do your kids have a favorite character or a favorite show?
When I first started doing Invader Zim, my oldest was only like 6. But when he hit about 12 or 13, which is about the age that, you hit puberty and Zim, he and his friends really liked it a lot. They liked it a lot. And I became like really popular with the goth crowd, which I loved. It's like, well, hey, the Civil War veterans kind of goth. Which is perfect because Ricky Simons, who I travel a lot with, was goth. So he teaches me everything. Like he taught me how to dance goth. See it?
Yeah.
So he goes like this. This is called goth dancing. It's what you'll see in a goth club. It's like square dancing. So Ricky does the call and I do the move. So it's like, pick the cobwebs, pick the cobwebs, pick the cobwebs. Serve the tea, serve the tea. Pick up the bat, pick up the bat. Hug the bat, hug the bat. Release the bat, release the bat. That's goth dancing. My microphone is very excited.
Speaking of microphones, so I'm a bit of an audio geek. Do you have a microphone that you prefer when you do voice work?
No, I just yell from my house and they catch it on whatever microphone. Yes, I have a microphone.
Like, do you travel with
Yeah,
one?
no.
Style?
Yeah, the Apogee mic is nice. It can go right into your iPad or iPod, but I don't really do that. I usually don't record on the road unless it's a city I'm going to, and then they can arrange it. Like if it's like New York, if I'm working in New York, they can do the session from New York.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't work mostly in commercials or promos.
Right.
That's really not necessary for me.
Sure.
But at home, I have a whole studio,
Right.
like a full studio.
Are you recording from there sometimes? Or do you
Only the
always have to go
auditions.
to-
Only at the auditions. I've done some jobs from there because the quality of the record is production quality. So I have done some things from there, but for animation, you have to be with the people.
So even someone like you who's done so much.
Someone like you, a boy like that, would kill your brother, forget that boy, and find another.
But you're still
Someone like you, someone like you.
You're starting to audition for things? I mean, don't they know your work already? Why would you have
Silly human. My friend Rob Paulson and my friend Maurice LaMarche, Pinky and the Brain, have this saying, and it's true. Voiceover is the only part of the entertainment business that you can win multiple Emmy Awards for voiceover, and you still have to audition for every single role.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of work because people are fans of Zim, and so I do Skylanders, they were a fan of Zim, I do Psychonauts, and that's because Tim Schafer was a huge fan of Zim. And so that has its benefits. What does happen is a lot of people will just offer me jobs because they know they can count on me to deliver, because they've worked with me and they know, like my friend Chris Savino is doing this new show, the Loud Family, rather. And I said, hey, I'm around if you want me. So I'm hopefully going to be doing some stuff on that soon.
So you're known for crazy voices.
What?
You're known for that.
How dare you?
What's the most like straight boring job you've ever had in voice acting?
Well, if you ever played Psychonauts, that's just kind of my voice younger, so there's no yelling and screaming like that. It's like, wow, a psychic connection. So that's kind of my voice. But you know what? I was on Static Shock. I played a kid named Jimmy who brought a gun to school. It was actually, yeah.
Oh, that wasn't
It
important.
was like this. I'm going to show you. No, they said no, you can't do that. No, it wasn't like that at all. It was like, hey guys, I'm here. I brought a gun.
I'm sure there's some
No,
aspiring.
it was one of those like after school special type
Yeah.
episodes.
The more you know.
A very special Static Shock.
I'm sure there's some aspiring voice actors in the audience here, and will hear this. What do they do? How do they get into this if they want to get started? What's the path they take to get there?
Well, first they have to get off drugs. No, the way to take this path is, and I'm asked this quite often, is start with acting classes, improv classes, and sketch comedy. If you can do that, you can get behind a mic and play because it's the same process. And so a lot of people come and say, hey, I do a lot of voices. But you know what? I don't do a lot of voices, and I've still been able to work a lot because my stories change. My stories change, my characters change, my wants change. Like the same way I would approach a stage production or a television or a film production is the way I approach voiceover, and every one of my peers would agree with that. It's about our acting and the way we break down. Nothing like really bothers us more than saying, well, do you wish you were a real actor? We get that a lot. Or do you still act? Do you still act? Because I did a lot of on-camera, so like, do you still act? Yeah. I mean, Tom Kenny, one of his famous lines is that, yeah, no, I'm not doing a lot of on-camera. I took a few years off to become a global icon.
Well, before we wrap it up, does
Well, we're wrapping it up.
Have questions?
What?
Have questions they want to ask?
Let's start with you.
You're right there.
Yeah, what was the hardest voice you ever done?
Conchame on Zatch Bell. I quit. It was too hard.
Next question?
Okay.
He can go first.
You've done.
That's been well.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi. You said you've done live action back in the past, but
Yes, I was the green grapes on the Fruit of the Loom commercials. I know those people. Oh, Anakin, you could have taken the higher ground, Anakin. I loved you like a brother, Anakin. Everyone say hi to my friend James Arnold Taylor. And his friend Spike.
Hi, Spike.
Yes, sorry, Manuel, go ahead.
But I recently saw.
It's over, Anakin! I've got the higher ground! Oh God, it's hot! Oh. It's over, Anakin! Hold on! I'll get back to you, Anakin. Yes, sorry, Manuel. There he is, Obi-Wan, ladies and gentlemen! I love that guy. We do Ratchet and Clank together. Of course, he does the Ratchet and I just clank around the studio. Yes, Manuel, yes.
I recently saw The Informant that stars Matt Damon.
Yes.
And you had a cameo in the film.
Yes.
One of the few live action roles you've done. You and Frank Welker as well.
Yes. Frank, my brother.
How were you approached to do this? What got you to do this?
Well, we knew it was a Matt Damon movie, and they said you would be playing Matt Damon's attorney. I'm like, okay. And your partner would be Tony Hale, and I would be like, okay. But it was just really easy. The whole idea of The Informant, which was a true story. This guy named Mark Whitaker.
What's the strong in
So the whole idea of it was a true story, that they thought that the actual making of it would be really weird if they had all comedians in it. Frank is a comedian. Frank did a lot of comedy. So Frank's a comedian, I was a comedian, the Smothers Brothers were the comedians, and so they just hired funny people for it. Frank is really funny. So that's how we both ended up doing that film. Yeah. Far back, yes.
So how many voices, have you ever counted the number of voices that you've learned and done?
3. Just with like different variances on them. No, I really don't. I mean, you know, if you IMDb, you can see that I've done, hundreds of voices. Lots of voices. But I really, like I said, I have a saying, the voice does the work of the spirit. Meaning that if you're a kid and you're playing Superman, you don't go, freeze Lex Luthor, I'm Superman. You go, freeze Lex Luthor, I'm Superman. Voices come out of us all the time based on the situation we're in. And you do it all the time. If you talk to a little baby or a child, you don't go, you go, hi there, yeah. You don't go, what voice am I going to use for this baby? That I think they're really cute, but they need their diaper changed. Well, you made a stinky, didn't you? You do it with animals all the time. You're a good dog. Yeah, go get it. Do, right? So the voices come out in a situation where I'm concerned, you know. I don't have the talent of that gentleman back there who can do any voice you've ever heard. Right? Right? Yes!
Me? Okay. What makes your character so incredible, at least in my opinion, are the wonderful sounds that you have come out of them.
Yeah.
Just like
I make sounds, that's true.
Do you have like a favorite collection of sounds that you've made for a character?
Yeah, well, for me, Zim, I like the I love that. But Daggett from the Angry Beavers, I really like that. That's how, to me, a beaver pet would be like. It's like a dog. So, like, if I'm doing a character of a dog, I like to make it as authentic as possible, because this is what dogs do. I want you to imagine that a dog is in your ear, right? Because, you know, dogs like lick your ear. It's always like this. It's always that one moment they find what it is they're looking for, they go. And then they move on.
So, in one episode of Billy and Mandy, there's this video game that Billy plays with Hospicato called Pat the Baker, and he never leaves home without. What would be one item you would never leave home without?
My air tank.
Whoa.
Anakin! God, it's hot! You choose now, because I didn't choose this side yet.
All right, you're right there.
All right, I actually have like 2 really quick questions. Is that all right?
Start with the second one.
Okay. The second one. What was your favorite line that you ever said for like a character that you played?
I think most people know that my favorite Zim line is, Grr! Why is there bacon in the zone? Yeah, I hated myself. I love that because it doesn't answer the question, he's really defiant. For Billy and Mandy, I always I like pie! Yeah. I just thought that was cool, because I got to work with Witchy Poo from HR Puff and stuff, Billy Hayes. That was like my heaven. I grew up on Sid Morning Croft, so, yeah, so.
Way in the back.
Yes, you, sir! Let me guess your age. 27?
What was your most?
12?
11.
8?
Who are you?
Who are you? Go ahead.
What was your most?
Who are you? All right, go ahead.
What was your most funniest or wackiest character you've ever done?
Well, Billy is the wackiest, I think. He's just like, he starts out as like a normal boy. So he starts out as like, oh, hey, Mandy, how's it going? But by the end of the series, it was, so that got wacky. I think Zim and Daggett and Billy, they're kind of my favorites.
That's right, the Holy Trinity.
Trinity, that's my Trinity, yes.
Red shirt there.
Yes. Speaking of Ratchet and Clank, when you were doing it, what made you want to do it?
This is a great story. So, my son was of game-playing video game age, and back then we used to go to these things called video game stores. And I walked up to the guy and I said, hey, I want to pick out a game for my son to play that's appropriate. And he said, oh, you got to get this new game, Ratchet and Clank. So I got 2 games at the time. I got Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter.
Yes!
And so I love both of them. I didn't like where the Jak and Daxter game went with the second one with flying the things around the thing. Yeah, it was so hard to play that thing. But Ratchet and Clank was so good, and the story story mode was awesome. The acting was superb.
It was.
It was, yes, it was. And it was so much fun. And I was really new to video games then. So I would like take the controller from my kid just to play this game. So I guess like just after the second one, which was Going Commando. Was that your first one, James? Going Commando? Yeah. I was hired by Insomniac to come in and do another game. And I didn't realize that Insomniac had put out Ratchet and Clank, and I saw this picture of Ratchet and Clank in this mosaic. I'm like, oh my God, I love this game. Like, right? Oh, you're just saying that. No, I love this game. Here's what I like about it, here's what I don't like about it, blah, 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 blah. So Jackie Wyrock, who was the sound supervisor at the time, said, you want to be in the game? I'm like, yes, yes. From that point on, TJ Fixman wrote a part for me in every single game. I love it. I never get to actually record with James or any of them because we all do it individually. So that kind of bums me out. It's over, Anakin!
BB-8 in the front.
Okay. Did you ever think you would be able to revisit Raz? And are there any other characters that you'd like to revisit?
This funny joke. It's like I never say never, but I just said it twice now. But I never say never about Invader Zim, but I'd really like to go back with Invader Zim and Daggett from the Angry Beavers. I mean, there's this new resurgence of the Nicktoons that I'd love to see happen because they were fun. But with Psychonauts, I had never thought that was ever going to get off the ground because it was not a commercial success. It was discovered afterwards. But then when they did the GoFundMe, it was like, wow, it made $6 million in like 30 days, of which I got $5.5 million of it. So you won't see the game, but thank you for your donation.
Green sweater.
So I was wondering if you've ever gone through a drive-through. Have you?
Yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes. But I don't ask for a salty lemonade or a blue cola. But I will tell you this: I don't do the voices, but I do this. Yeah, I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese, hold the cheese, and I'd like a large blood. And in every time, would you like to supersize that, ma'am? And I was like, you're talking to a sir!
Back there.
First year.
Oh, first year.
Then.
Okay.
First year.
What's your favorite?
Who are you?
What's your favorite character out of all the shows you've done?
I like Billy, and I like Zim, and I like Daggett, and I like Alpha 5, and I like Dr. Chipotle, and I like the Zoni, and I like being Obi-Wan. What? And am I doing Obi-Wan? So I like all of them, my friend. I can't choose one because they're so much fun to do.
Far back glasses. Yeah.
Later, when you go outside, are you going to make biscuits?
Biscuits? Zim needs no biscuits. I'll be dancing like a monkey. We need a dance. I saw a squirrel. You don't like it. Right now, I just did that somewhere in the world. Ricky Simon just went.
All right, we do two more. Go ahead.
If Invader Zim was ever made a video game, would you do the voice of Zim?
We have done Nickelodeon video games in which Zim was featured in them, so I did do them. There was like Nickelodeon baseball. It was Zim playing baseball. But yes, yeah, we've done those.
But if it was an actual Invader Zim video game, would you do it?
Yes.
Last question.
Did you want to hire me? Do you have an idea?
Red shirt right back there. Have his hand
So
up.
will we be hearing you to any degree in the new Psychonauts game?
You will be hearing me a lot. We're already recording it. It's the regular, the cast is all back.
That's it. So, yeah, Richard Horvitz, thank you.